Hello, I'm Mike Dean, your expedition leader.
Oh, Hans Reinhardt.
Hans Reinhardt.
From Germany.
From Germany. When did you come over to London? Today to catch the trip?
Yes, only to catch the trip.
Do you know your passport number?
No, I have to look for it.
All right, fine. Well, you can let me know before Dover anyway. What's your name?
Don.
Don.
Pugh.
Pugh. Hello, I'm the owner. I'm Dave Jones.
Hans from Germany.
Hans. Wild.
Tony.
Yes, thank you. See you all in Dover then. Have a good trip.
Istanbul at dawn, the voice of Islam calls the faithful to prayer. Its echoes wake the wanderlust in every tourist. Those who travel light and who like to get off the beaten track can book a seat in a 12-ton truck on an overland expedition from Europe to Nepal. One expedition leader, Mike Dean, aged 28, has been driving this road to Kathmandu for 3 years.
The people on these trips usually come from diverse backgrounds and occupations.
Right, here we are.
On this particular trip, we've got Susie, who's a professional photographer from New Zealand. There's Tanya, who's a secretary from London. Paul, who's a student from Canada. Ivan, a lifeguard from Australia. Valerie, a nurse from England. Peter, who's a Dutchman, and he's a carpenter. We've got a couple of Cockney lads, Paul and Jim. And the age group would be about 19 to 30.
There's Santa Sofia.
Istanbul is our first stop. It's really our entry into Asia, which makes it significant. It's also a very fascinating place. It is, despite the cliché, a mixture of East and West.
As the 12-tonner drives over deserts and mountains on its way to the back of beyond, its occupants will have their passports stamped 27 times during their 3 months' journey. From London to Kathmandu by air is only 4,500 miles, but the truck's heavy-duty tires will have covered 11,000 miles by the journey's end.
I worked for a firm of stockbrokers in the City of London. I was involved very much in doing investment analysis for mining stocks mainly, visiting companies that I would then write investment reports upon. I was beginning to be a bit of a whiz kid. I had all the things, a fast sports car, a nice flat, dining out several times a week. I think subconsciously became jaundiced with the way of life that I was leading. One rainy winter morning when I woke up and I just couldn't face going into an underground train, and I just decided that was it and I wasn't going to do it anymore. The southern coast of Turkey gives passengers their first feel of adventure I think for all of our passengers, the lure of adventure is paramount. They could travel by plane. They could even travel in an air-conditioned coach. So there must be something that makes them choose to ride in the back of a truck. There are those who are on the trip purely for a holiday, to enjoy themselves the best they can. Lots of sun, lots of sea, lots of booze. Others are making a kind of a cultural pilgrimage, if you like. They do get very interested, very involved in the countries they're travelling through. They want to see as much as they possibly can of the various archaeological sites. All the way along there, they would have had their sort of dressing rooms and administrative rooms and so on, and then there's a tunnel which goes through from those ruins you see there right into the floor of the stage, and that's where the actors would have...
What would they have done? Just acting? Would there been lions and things?
It was mainly dramatic performances and sort of choral works, I think, and so on. They had a very stylised...
It's terribly high up the top there. People at the back really were miles from the stage.
Yeah, but you find the acoustics in there are absolutely fantastic. I mean, yeah, if you go and stand in the middle, and the rest of the group stands around the top up there, and you just talk in an ordinary speaking voice, the whole lot of them will hear you. It's amazing. It's undoubtedly the most difficult aspect of my job, to balance out the priorities which different people on these trips have. 3 months for a trip sounds like a long time, but there is so much to do and so much to see. There's no real formula. I have to play it by ear. As the trip develops, I get to know the personalities on the trip and to learn what their priorities are, and consequently to attempt to satisfy everybody as fully as they can be. My first reaction when I saw the valleys of Cappadocia was that it really did look like the moon. And then when one got a bit closer and found these dwellings inside the rock pinnacles, it was really quite fascinating to think that people had been living there for centuries. The original inhabitants of Cappadocia were Christians who were retreating from the invading Muslims. These Christians intended to camouflage themselves and hope that the tide of Islam would wash over them. But inevitably, as Islamic settlements grew up around the Cappadocian region, the Christians were pushed out. There are times when it is jolly cold. In eastern Turkey, for instance, which is very high, very rough, tough sort of a country, and very windswept, it can get very cold indeed. We find it quite a hardship to sleep in -0 temperatures for perhaps 2 or 3 nights. But that sense of adventure has to be, I think, slightly diminished when we consider that the Kurds have been living like this for centuries, and in much colder parts than we sleep in, and they do it every day of the year. The Kurds are very tough people. They have to cope with a lot of physical hardship, and yet they seem to have a great sense of affection, together with a great dignity. When we visit Kurds, they look at our shiny trucks and our shiny cameras and our nylon anoraks and so on. Yes, they're interested by them, they come and finger them, they look at them, but they're not dependent upon it, and I think they're rather amused by us when we visit them.